record from here. Okay, I think I'm recording now, so anyone that misses anything, they can view it later as well. So yeah, what I would say is the wrinkles generally follow the shape of the body. Obviously, your body isn't rectangular. If it was like this, then obviously it would cling to your body like that. But since a body, especially a female body, is shaped a bit more like that, it would drape a bit more like this. So it might drape like that. You might have some draping on the chest, obviously, if it's a little bit oversized. You want to think about how this area is more curved on a woman's body specifically, and then it goes in and then comes back out like that. So what we would do is we would focus on the curve over here and drape it down, and then obviously drape around the hip, and honestly I would leave it at that. Less is more. You don't want so many wrinkles that the t-shirt is just, the whole pattern becomes wrinkly. So I would just, if I can clear out these a little bit more, just to make it, I might make the t-shirt plain and then re-add the hearts later, just like that. So yeah, just you want to focus more on the actual shape of the body rather than the shape of the t-shirt when you're drawing clothes, simply because clothing can be quite confusing actually. Obviously it's different per item of clothing, but from what I can gather, you're trying to make this kind of more oversized, so oversized clothing draped over your body. Really simply, to be honest, it just follows the curves of the body. If it's tighter clothing, there's slightly different methods of obviously shading. You wanna then have less wrinkles. Tighter clothes wrinkle more towards the sides. So if you had a obviously body like this, we wanna just get rid of all of that in the middle. Oops. Obviously we have a body like this. If we're going for a tighter one, obviously again you want to follow the direction of the curves of the body. So obviously these two are curved. Everything is curved. You need to remember that the body isn't flat. So what we would do is we'd do something like that. Some more curves obviously inside there. Just tightening basically of the where like the body would curve in or move in. You just want to add some extra wrinkles there. And then obviously if we draw the where the t-shirt would end over here, it would just be a couple. So tighter clothes generally fit more to the body, which means less wrinkles. However, more oversized clothes generally just follow the flow of the body itself. So once I've obviously covered this up, I'm going to show a little bit more how the wrinkles might flow a bit more. Okay, so we would get, let's shade using the colour of the jumper. So we'd do one big one just like that, big swoop. So one big swoop just there, just like that. I just smacked my head on the floor. And then maybe one coming down from her hip there like that. And honestly, that's about it. I think the neckline is quite large on this one. Generally clothes also have two things like this, unless it's a raw hem. So if you want to do like a t-shirt without a raw hem, you'd want just a line like this, just so that you can establish like the hem of the clothes. And then see they usually have lines like that. Not always, but it generally helps to make the shirt look a little bit more, or like maybe if it's a jumper, obviously it looks a bit more like a jumper now. You can add a couple more, obviously. With jumpers they have like a X like that, and it's got like crosses on it. So we can leave it like that. And then obviously, if we're making it sparkly, I assume we wanted it to be sparkly like that. We can generally add more sparkles. Obviously, I love the texture on this. I think the texture really adds a lot. It looks amazing. Honestly, other than that, I think the t-shirt looks fine, just like that. I feel like it does create a big difference. in how the t-shirt might flow compared to if it was like that. These just look a little bit too uniform. Obviously you'd blend these out a bit and then have some shading, some more highlights around one side, and then like this. On this side it was really great. I just think the wrinkles themselves need to be catered to the body of the character. The other thing that I've noticed is the blending on the nose. So I can see that the blending is a little bit harsh, especially on the tip of the nose here. So what I would suggest is just blending out a bit more, just here. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Just here like this. Blending it out a bit more. Noses aren't really that prominent like that, so just blend that out a bit. Bring that in. We can leave the line there. There's nothing wrong with having the line there. I just think that was this was a little bit too harsh. The eye looks great. I love the eye. I think just blend it out a little bit more. I love all the different colours of the shading. The rosy cheeks, it looks great. And I love the hair. The hair's amazing. The other thing is these cuticles, they can be blended out a bit more as well. Just like that. So really thin lines for like cuticles and tiny details. Really tiny lines for those. Since cuticles aren't really huge, you can tell on my fingers, you can't really see them. They're just kind of there. But other than that, amazing. I love it. Amazing from Sammy. I love it, Sammy. Okay, next up we have, let's take a look. Next up we have this from Ray. So I think this is great. Sorry, 1 second. For a pencil drawing, especially, I think it's been drawn with a biro. That's really impressive, considering, you know, biros, you don't generally have, I can't see any sketch marks or anything. I feel like it's just been drawn like that. The only thing that I would suggest is following the flow of the shading. So what I mean by that is, over here the shading is very unparticular. There's not really much sort of uniform with the shading. So what I would suggest is, if I just cover that up, if I do it like that, the only thing I would suggest is just following one specific line, one pattern, and honestly, other than that, I think it's really good. I can tell that it's Guts. It's not hard to tell which character it is, and I think the nose is done really well, the eyes are done really well, his hair looks great. The only thing I would just point out is just the following of the lines of the shading, which is an easy fix, to be honest. Just follow one direction. So what we want to do is we want to go in this direction here like that. Just go like that, in one direction. Just keep going in one direction. And that should just help it look more uniform. Instead of a little bit less messy and scribbly, it will help to make the art look a little bit neater. Obviously, if you want to have a go at cross-hatching, you go the other, same thing but in the other direction. Not sure why that's... Oops. Yeah, you just want to go in the other direction. Same thing, other direction. It just helps to make the shading look a little bit more in depth, and then obviously as you come to lighter areas you move out. So I think on this one we can tell that he's trying to make the inside of his clothes look a little bit more shaded. So what we would do is cross hatch in the other direction, and obviously the more you want to shade, the darker you want it, the closer you want the lines to be. And obviously if you're cross-hatching like I am right now, you can just add more lines in the other direction as well. So if you want this bit to be darker, add more lines, and slowly branch out as you go on. So I don't know why it keeps changing the brush. And I think that looks a little bit more neater. It just adds a little bit more cohesiveness. It looks a bit more put together than before. I mean, I can tell that you've tried doing it over here in these areas of, around his eyes and his lips, but obviously you want to keep that throughout the whole drawing. So obviously I can tell you wanted to go in that direction, so keep going in that direction, just like that. Other than that, it looks great. Good job, Gray. Next up, let's take a look. Okay, we have this eye drawing from Pack. So I love to draw eyes. It's definitely one of my favorite things. So the only thing that really comes out to me, I can tell that it's obviously quite a quick, sort of easy sort of drawing, just meant to be kind of like a doodle, you know, like the sort of doodle that you do in your math book at school. So what I would suggest to make this a little bit more stylistic, depending on the style that you want to go for, what we can do is, I'm going to change this brush 1 second. Yeah, so what we can do is we can go for a little bit more of a realistic approach. So with realism, you've got to focus more on the extra details of the eye. So we can go for this shape, and then obviously we have a little thing, a little tear duct. So you'd want to round that off, little tear duct there, and then go back to filling in the eye over here like that. And that's the general shape of a human eye. Then obviously we have our waterline, just like that. You'd add an extra line there, just do a waterline there like that. So that's just the basic shape of a realistic human eye. For your actual eyeball, the iris, the pupil, I think that's a pretty good shape for it actually. It never touches the bottom, generally, or if it does, you might have a really huge eye if it touches like that. But generally, eyes have, if they're looking up into the distance, unless you're facing directly at the camera like this, your eye will never be that large, so it would look a bit more perfect, like your one. Yours is drawn pretty perfectly, just like that. And I think the shading on it looks great, to be honest. I like having, obviously, the shading here. I think eyes are really interesting. I love drawing eyes. It's definitely one of my favourite doodles. Obviously pupils are usually all black. And then generally what you have is some shading around the iris like this. Just like that, around the iris. It blends out usually, just like that. And then we have it around the pupil as well, just like that. So these are usually the darker points. And then on the inside, obviously this is obviously shaded off because of the eyelid as well. So these are generally like that. So this is the actual shape of the eye over here, like this. And then this would be shading on the eye. So I can tell you've done a good job at that. You've covered up half of it, just like that, with the shading. And then it depends on the color of the eye for the patterns. So if you take a look at my eye, for example, my eye actually has, I wonder if I have a photo saved in here. I do. Okay, so this is my eye. You can see that the pattern inside the eyes, I have some some loops. So this is generally the pattern that follows for brown eyes. I've seen a lot of brown eyes with this sort of pattern. So it has kind of like crevices where the eye doesn't have anything inside, and then we've got loops of lighter colors, so really light strokes of just a golden color. So if you wanted to go for something like that, you would just follow the shading, obviously, and then you'd draw some crevices, just like that, random ones everywhere, and then you'd have lighter color just going around the eyes, just like that. Really simple. With blue eyes and green eyes, or any other color eyes, lighter eyes generally have a really different method of patterning inside. I wonder if I can get a photo up of that. Let me find a photo of a blue eye. I mean, I've drawn a few before. Let me find one on Discord. So that's a different example. Here, we can see over here that we generally have a lot of loops going around in the eyes, quite asymmetrical. None of them ever look the same, so there's never any point of using like symmetry. Let me save this. And throw this over here. So there's never a point of using the symmetry tool when you're drawing blue eyes, because it's just going to diminish the realism from the actual idea that you're trying to give. So what you just want to do, obviously I've done the brown one earlier, you get rid of those. So what you would do is just add some random loops, really random, just random ones, going around everywhere. Obviously not necessarily always loops, they might just be lines, but generally around the pupil in particular, it's generally looping, a lot of loops going on. Obviously since you've done this with a pencil, it's a little bit harder to get that sort of detail in there. And Heb says that his eyes don't look that cool. It depends on the eyes, obviously everyone's eyes are different. Some people might have a different pattern, just like general lines like this. I think I had one of green eyes, just like this. This is less realistic, this is more stylized, just because I thought it looked cool. I was just playing around with a bunch of fancy brushes, but you can get eyes that do look like this. Obviously every eye is different, eyes look wildly different every single time. And yeah, what I was saying, if you want to go for that sort of texture, you can go like that. Obviously, if you're going for a less realistic style, yours is looking good, Pack. I think just having the bubble shading underneath. The other thing, obviously, don't forget, is the crease of the eye. So your crease, I've noticed, is really uniform to the eye, which can be normal in some body types, some face shapes, eye types. Obviously it's quite different, it depends on the ethnicity that you're actually going for. So we know that a general monolid might look a bit more like this, just generally, and then might come down like that, just like that, and they might have some folds, extra folds going on, just like, just really lightweight. Really lightweight shading like that. Obviously we've got like big doe eyes, might look a bit more like this, just like that, with direct lids like that. We know that obviously from the side as well, it really matters. If you want to draw like eyes from the side, we want to just quickly sketch up a side profile. So we might have a nose just like that. So from the side, eyes generally won't actually have a pupil looking directly. So a pupil doesn't sit like that. The pupil actually sits, so if we have the eye just like that, the pupil actually sits here. So there's actually a gap, as you can see right there, there's a gap. Because your pupil doesn't actually sit right at the front of your eye, it sits actually a little bit set back, which is actually an interesting fun fact that a lot of people don't know. But obviously with studying anatomy that will come to you. For lashes, I think the lashes look good, really cute, stylized. Obviously again it depends on the style that you're going for. If you're going for anime eyes, which you might be, you just want to have really basic, really basic. I think it looks great if you're going for that anime style. The only thing I would suggest is maybe a little bit more emphasized lashes, or no lashes at all, because in Japanese anime I've noticed that they either have really long lashes, or just not much going on there at all. The only time I really see small lashes just like that is not often, to be fair, but it's only sometimes when they just can't really be bothered. But personally I like it a little bit better when there's a bit more emphasis on the eyelashes. And eyelashes, remember, they're not always, so you can see on this one over here, you follow the direction of the other lashes. You have to remember that eyes are curved. Again, everything is curved, and eyelashes look a bit like this, so a bunch of U shapes. So eyelashes can stick straight up right at the top. They face that way when you go in that way, and that way when you go in that way, and then those play out to be a more natural eye look. You can see I've done it over here. Same thing on the bottom lashes, they want to face out that way, go out that way, and just like that. Otherwise, very cute. Good job, Pack. I love it. Okay, who's next? Okay, next up we have, oh my god. Okay, I don't even want to critique this, because this drawing is absolutely incredible. It looks amazing. I genuinely don't know what to say about it, because it just, I thought it was AI, because it just looks so good. This was done by my fellow sketcher Keb. Honestly, I just don't even know what to say. It looks so good. You can see all the detail in it. She's even got a cute little face. It just looks amazing. I don't know how to critique that. I would just say keep it up, Keb. Yeah, right? How do you even review that? It's just amazing. So next up, let's add a reference. Import. So this is another one from Ray. I think again this is great. I think there's just more focus needs to be done on the direction of the shading, following obviously one direction. I think it looks great. Otherwise, I don't really have much else to say about it other than that. Yeah, good job. After that we have, so this is a submission from Tsukaka. I think I'm saying that right. I hope I'm saying that right. I love this. It's so cute. It's genuinely adorable. The only thing I really would talk about is, again, the shading on the t-shirt, and more to do with the collarbone, to be honest. So I'm gonna bring that in. So I think this is really cute. I love the background. I love the eyes. The shading on the eyes is so adorable. But yeah, the only thing that sticks out to me is honestly the collarbone, the bottom half of the drawing, the collarbone in the t-shirt. The proportions of the face look great. I think that the drawing is a bit muted, but I have a feeling that that might be intentional, so I'll just ignore that. So what I would do for this collarbone, if we're following a slightly more if we're following a more realistic approach for collarbones, what you want to focus on is how abrupt it is. So what I would say is, if I go on that one, collarbones generally, they start in the middle just like that, so they do a tiny V shape. They're not really that large, so I can tell that the collarbone on yours was had a really large V shape. If you take a feel or take a look at your own collarbone, you can see that you can feel and see that the collarbone has actually just a really tiny V shape. I don't know how to show this. Sketches. Collarbone. So you can see over here she has a really tiny little V shape. So again, really tiny V shape with the collarbone. And here as well, really small V shape, and then it goes up to the rest. So what you want to do is just do a small V shape just like that. Just like that. Depends how big you want to do it. And generally, I think the head's tilted, so you want to do it a bit more middle, just there. I hope I'm not doing that. Yeah. Just like there, because the head is facing this direction, you would see that the neck is there, so you'd want it about there. So on the other layer, let's go back, to come here and oops, just draw a little V shape there, and then connect it to just above the shoulders. So there's a bone generally here that's a little sharp, just like that usually, and you want to just connect it to there. Not fully connect, it's just kind of in the middle, just like that, and just like that. Shading wise, I think I can see the collarbone actually connecting there. Yeah, that's where the abrupt one is, so you want to just do a bit like that. Shading wise, obviously one area will be darker and one area won't be. I think this is pretty good shading for the collarbone. The only thing that I would say about it is that collarbones aren't quite that sharp. They're usually a bit softened, so you just want to really soften that out, just like that. Just like that, and just like that. And just bring those in. In fact, the shading generally goes on the inside, because on the outside you've got a new plane of area. Just like that. And you want to really blend that out. And again, soften the actual line. So just like that. And I can tell you that that looks a little bit more other than that, I really like it. Obviously, going off from what I said earlier about t-shirts following the folds of the body, I think that's pretty good. I just wonder if maybe it's worth adding a line over here to more represent the hem of the t-shirt rather than just shading, since it looks like it's being shaded towards the t-shirt, just like that. And I think that's it. That looks great. Good job. So next we have, we've got this drawing from, oh no, I don't know how I'm going to pronounce that name. Apollo. I'm just going to say Apollo. So I think that looks really cool. That is actually really beautiful actually. Let's bring that in over here. The only thing that I actually noticed with that is the fact that you've shaded with black or shaded with just one color. So I can tell from what I can see, you've used a slightly darker color and then used the multiply effect. Don't know if that's correct, but the shading's also really harsh around the nose, which generally it isn't. Noses don't have severe shading. I really like the concept of the drawing. It's very cool. From what I can gather, those are meant to be gold piercings, which I can show you how to make them look a little bit more gold than yellow as well. But we'll go over the first thing, how I think that the shading is a bit harsh. So what we'll do is we'll just blend this out all the way, and that will help to bring back the harshness of the shading on the nose. So just want to bring that around just like that, and you can see instantly that's kind of changed how the face layout looks a little bit. It looks a little bit less harsh. So yeah, I think that looks good. The other thing I can tell is that you've tried highlighting with grey, which isn't always a bad thing, obviously, but you can't really get much from it. So the face looks really ashy, and how you can fix that is simply by adding an overlay layer. Delete that one. Adding an overlay layer, what you can do is add some extra colours. So let's go pink, or like reddy, and we can just add some light rosiness to the cheeks, a little bit onto the nose, and obviously it's not going to look this crazy. We just can adjust it, turn down the opacity, and mess around with it a bit, so we can colour burn it. I think colour burn will look nice, and instantly that brings a little bit more sort of life into the face. So what we can do now is add another colour. Let's go for like an orangey sort of colour, just like that, and we want to add it into the shaded areas, really lightly, just like that. Really basic light shading, just like that, and around just like that here, and blend that out. Blend it out as well. Don't be scared of blending. Blending is your best friend when it comes to drawing as well. Obviously don't go overboard, just like that, and instantly that brings a bit more life into the face. You can see adds a bit more dimension. What we want to do now is, I can see obviously highlight wise there's not much going on, so what I would do is I can tell you like the gold, so I would go for yellow, add some yellow highlights into it. So I'd go for a really pale yellow, just like that, and add some really just sort of lightweight kind of, just a bit of shading, highlights just like that. I can tell you want to add a little bit there, just add some here, and again you can blend it out, no big deal, just blend it away, and then you can mess about with the toning of it. So I like the way hard light looks, so that's what I would add. And yeah, the other thing I would mention is these lines here. There's not really any sort of difference in the size of the lines, so what I would do is I would simply make them all a little less predictable, because lines, especially in your face, they're not always the same length, so it might just add a little bit more dimension, might make the art look a little less blocky as well. I think it will help to just bring a little bit more life into it, just like that. And you can already tell that that's kind of changed up sort of the look of the art already, makes it look a little less blocky. And those are a couple really easy ways to just make your art look less not boring, but just have a little bit more life into them, add some extra dimension, and that seems good. For the gold, as I said, I'd teach you how to add some gold into it. So gold obviously uses some yellow in there. The only other thing I would say is that there's actually some brown in gold. So you can add like random brown, that's quite orange. Some brown shadows, just like that. Random brown shadows, just kind of line them up. Really straight kind of lines, just like that. And then we've got white, really white colours in there as well. So you want to just add some white as well, and that will help make it a little bit more goldy than really yellow. Unless yellow was what you're going for, then obviously keep it up. Do continue with the yellow, the jewellery. You can see that looks a bit more goldy now. There's also usually a little bit of orange tones as well. Orange tones are just a bit more like the transition shade between the yellow and the brown, just like that, and then add some more shading, just like that, and that looks more gold than yellow now. You can tell that it adds a little bit more of highlights, a little bit more dimension. It's just a really easy and basic way of switching up the colours in your art. Just add a bunch of random colours, throw on some different layers, and yeah, it's really cute. I love it. Next up, we have from Apollo again. So we have this drawing. It's very cute. I like it. Let me add it into here, just like that. Delete the other layers. So, again, the only thing I would suggest is obviously the layering, the colours of the layering. So what I would do is add a bit more. I can tell that there's just not much going on colour-wise, so I would add a third colour for her body, especially on darker complexions. There's not really one way of shading a character. They have really full color palettes. You just want to keep building and building with the colors. Obviously don't go too dark, obviously, especially if you're doing a slightly lighter skin character. Just to keep it loads of different colors going on. There's not much shading gone around here, especially under the hair, behind the neck, down here. What I would do is select her hair and just remove. Oops, wrong layer, I think. Yeah, there we go. Remove the shading there. So that adds just a bit more dimension into the character. Obviously you don't have to shade with brown. You can actually shade. Here's a fun technique that I like to use. You can shade with random colours, like a really bright colour, make it a little darker, and then actually just throw it on like that. So let's hide. Oops, I did it on the wrong layer. I want to hide this layer. What I can do is just shade underneath like that, go like that, and then actually just hit this up and find the darker. So I like soft light, and then I can just do that. Or you can go like multiply or darken. I think multiply, or I think darken looks good. And I can just change it up. get rid of this, and then you can see that just adds a fun like pop of color into the shading. You don't have to use that color, you can shade with blue to make it a little bit of a cooler temperature. It honestly depends on the vibe that you're going for the art, so it depends on the temperature that you want to go for. I think that's really it, to be honest. Again, I would talk about the smooth straight lines. You wanna do really quick straight lines. With the shirt, it doesn't matter so much, since obviously I think this is meant to be like a raw hem. But other than that, I do think it looks good. Focus a bit more on highlights as well. You want to add some yellow highlights like this, just over here like that. Coloured highlights. They come in the wrong section. I want to go over here. Add some yellow. Add some red. You can add some blue. You can add some blue here and here. And then what you can do is just mess about with these. So like this one on add, and just go like that, and then blend them out. Just blend it, blend it, blend it, blend it, blend it, blend it, just like that. And it adds a fun pop of color. Doesn't need to be super duper perfect either, obviously. It just adds some more dimension into your work, more fun colors and whatnot. Just like that, nice and simple. Yeah. And let's take a look. I've got another one from Keb that I don't think I can even critique. Let me bring that up. Insert a photo. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. These are just so good, honestly, Kev. Just keep it up, to be honest. I don't... Wow, like... It just looks incredible. I love the textures. I love how you've done, obviously, the gold on this. The only thing I would really mention is proportions. I think when you're thinking about proportions of the face, I understand that your one might be stylized to look like that on purpose, but obviously in general I just want to talk about proportions. Keb goated, yeah, I agree with that. So we want to talk about proportions of the face. Obviously he's facing this way, the nose is there, just like that, just like that. Okay, so what we'd do is eyes like that, and then his mouth is quite to the side. I understand that might be intentional. The nose is perfect where it needs to be. The eyes are also quite large, so what I would do personally is I would just move them a little bit. And then just make it a little smaller. Just like that, move it there, and then I would add a bit more going over here. Fill these in a bit. But other than that, I genuinely think this looks amazing. Definitely some of the best submissions that I've been sent in. Just like that, and I think that adds a little bit more sort of a realistic placement. If I want to move it again, I think I might move it a little bit more to the other side, just like that. Here. And yeah, as for the mouth as well, I would move that a bit. I keep knocking my head on the tripod. I would just make it a little smaller and move it towards the middle of it. Obviously this is just a me choice. I do genuinely think it looked good as it was. I just think if you want to go for a little bit more realistic proportions, that's what I would do. So it changes the face a little bit, and yeah, I think that honestly it looks amazing. Like, really good job, Kev. We've got a couple more, so let me bring in, oops. Let me bring in another photo. This one. So this was sent in by Cherry in my server. I love the little piece I'm doing out there. So for this one, I think it looks really good. I love it. The only thing I would suggest is keeping an eye on the sharpness of your lines, especially on like the outside of your lines. So I can tell this is done really well, but I would just simply, oops, find a paintbrush for this one. So just have some really sharp lines going down, just so there's a bit more cohesiveness in the art, and build up the colors a lot as well. Especially, I'm not sure if this is done with acrylic or oil or what sort of paint it was. It looks like acrylic to me, but I'm not entirely sure. It might be oil as well. But the only thing I'd really point out is like the sharpness of the actual outlines of the art. So just really build up and focus on how they look, just like that. The other thing I would mention is the moon. So the moon looks a little bit squashed. So what I would do is just go round the edges a bit and just really just turn it a bit more circular. Not really super difficult, but it will add such a big difference in the way that the finished product will look. Just like that. And honestly, that's it. That will really bring up the quality. The only other thing as well, I can't tell if this is just black and the lighting has honestly messed around with it. I think it is that. I think for the yellow is add different sort of colours for the yellow. So mess around with different shades, more bluey yellows, more warm colour yellows. You want to mess about with adding whites in there. Don't be afraid to use the colour white. I know a lot of artists say, oh, like, don't use white in your art, don't use black in your art. But honestly, as long as it's not taking over the whole art, the whole piece, it's not really a big deal. I think messing around with different shapes as well. So I like the lines on this one. Messing around with like circles and adding a bit more like sort of reflection-y sort of stuff might help out a little bit more with like the realism. I really love the way that this tower looks. I love the shading on it, all the like transition from the black to the really light blue. It looks amazing, and this tower looks really good as well. I like the way that there's a harsh shadow. I like the way that the shadow kind of is not too harsh but not too soft either. Other than that, I think that looks great. And I think we've had one submission literally just before I started. Oops. Where's Discord here? So we had this come in. Let me bring this into Procreate. Set photo just here. Okay. So, I think this is really cute. Obviously, I have done courses on graphic design. So the only thing I would really think about is honestly the way that the seeds look. and obviously the cohesiveness of the rind. So I think it's really cute. Let me find my round brush. But I would honestly just obviously make these straighten out just like that, so that there's no sort of like roundy edges. Make it a little bit sharp, especially because the rest of the shapes are sharp. You want to really play around with making everything look really cohesive. Inconsistency is generally the biggest put off when it comes to art, especially in graphic design as well. You really want to pay attention to making everything look similar. So we can see on this one, it's not really. There we go, if we just open that and then add this. Just add that like that. And you really just want to have a play about. Other than that, I genuinely think this looks really good. Don't be afraid to use like the same sort of formatting for letters. Remember that, especially in like fonts and graphic design, there's a set like sort of alphabet for them, which means every single letter, if you type the letter A twice, it's going to be the same both times. It's not going to be different. So really don't like be afraid to just use the same letter twice. So what we'll do actually instead, since you've used the F, we'll do this. Just to mess around with this a bit. Paste. And oh, we want to move this down over here, just like that, because we want to use the exact same as, same with the U. So we'll move just mess around with the U a bit, just like that. We want to hit copy paste. Oh, okay. Thanks. Copy paste. And move it up. Oops. I don't know why it's doing that. Oh, okay. I realised the problem was on the wrong layer. Okay. Copy paste. Go to the next one. And just bring it up over here. There we go. So now we've added some more cohesiveness. We've used the same F and U. Just to finish off the. Again, don't be afraid to make everything look sharp and the same. Oops. And that looks good. Then what I would play around with is the seeds. So the only other obviously issue I have, not issue, but the only other thing that sticks out to me is the seeds. So what I would do is I would cover these seeds up, because watermelon seeds aren't round. They're usually teardrop shaped or more like a eyeball shaped. Don't really know how to describe them, but if we just quickly go over these just like that, cover them up. So since that has covered up the seeds, you can actually tell that it looks a bit more cohesive already because it looks the same as the watermelon on the side. If we want to go ahead and add seeds, what we can do is just do like 3 on each one. Let's just do it like that and then add like that. Or we can do it like a teardrop shape, just like that, like that. What layer am I on? If we want to do it like that. Oops, it's gone. And then just make it nice and sharp at the top. And we can just add 1 on each, to be honest. And then we can add just like that. And that's a seed done. So what we can do is we can actually make this smaller if you want. And we can duplicate it, and then rotate it a bit so it's straight like that. And then you can duplicate again, and then do it like that. And honestly, you can just have a play around with this sort of thing. It doesn't need to have the white bits in it. Obviously, I've just added those for a bit more cohesiveness and consistency. But it looks fine without as well. You can add really small one as well if you really want to. You can add it curved, just like that, that, and that. You can have a play around, just have it like on the side, like that, that, and that. It's totally up to you how you want to do it, but I just suggest really thinking about the shape of what you're going for. And Hev says, would it be dumb to add seeds to the watermelon also? No, it wouldn't be dumb. If you want to go about adding just dots, I understand that you might just want to add plain dots. That's also totally fine, to be honest. You just have to really think about the size and the placement of them. So what I would suggest is, you know, being a little bit more sort of think a bit more about the placement of them. So just add a few, not too many, and then obviously add them to the watermelon as well, just so that it looks similar. Honestly, I do think that this looks quite nice, especially now that we've had a play around with everything else. We can just add a bunch of random, slightly larger dots, and they don't have to be too many. You don't have to obviously go crazy with them. Just add a few. Again, you want to be consistent again with where you're placing them. If you really want to actually get into making designs like this, I would consider using some sort of font website. I'm sure you can find plenty of them where you can just make and formulate your own fonts, and then obviously you only have to design each letter once instead of having to keep doing them and then duplicate them and keep repeating them. It makes it easier to just create one font and then obviously keep reusing it, and every time you type it just does it automatically. Other than that, I think this was really cute, a really cute idea. Funky fruit, very cute, I like it. Thank you, Mika. And I think that's all that I've had for this time. Not many people, no one else actually sent anything in, so I think I'm going to end the stream here. Thank you guys for coming and watching. I hope it was fun. I do just want to let you guys know that on my Instagram I do have a giveaway at the moment. All you have to do is just follow me. You have to just follow my account on Instagram, SaimySketches. Tag a friend in the comments and then repost it to your story, and that will automatically enter you into the giveaway. That's a giveaway for anything, like any sort of art from me, free, completely free. Obviously I'll have restrictions, I don't draw NSFW and other things, but generally this is something that I've got going on to commemorate the fact that I've opened commissions recently for general artwork and Photoshop jobs and editing work. So I hope you enjoyed this stream. I definitely did, and I might do one again soon. Depends if I get anything or if there's anything special going on. But yeah, I really enjoyed this today. Thank you all for coming.